My name is the headliners. I always forget the S. My name is Edward Mbeche. I'm your host, the CEO, founder of Helen Super App. Today, we're going to have a conversation about personal brand with an awesome guest. Her name is Chrissy Bernal.
Yeah.
Chrissy Bernal, how are you?
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Awesome, awesome. It's so nice to have you. I know we've spoken almost a few weeks ago, and everything good with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm in Houston, Texas, so it's been a little dry here, but
Mhm.
not bad. Not bad.
Oh, you guys did not. I know you kind of escaped the whole what's going on like right now in fall there. I think is it going North Carolina or something. You guys did
Mhm.
not get that, right?
Yes. Now it's
Did
still hurricane season
you?
on the time we're doing this podcast, so
Yeah.
you never know, but hopefully we'll go all season without anything.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. I know Chris is a author. Is an author, a podcast coach, a consultant, a PR person, and a lot of stuff what we're gonna learn about Chrissy. That's awesome. So Chris, let's do this. Maybe for people that do not know who's Chrissy, let's go back. Let's go way back. Where did Chris grow up? Where you from? Did you grow up in Zambia somewhere in Africa?
No, you know what? I did not go very far as an adult. So I grew up in Houston. So
Yes,
I
okay.
am a Houston native and born and raised. I did go off to college in Central Texas, but came right back to Houston.
You went back to Houston. So growing up, like, do you have some fun memory when you were a kid? Like, like went to cheerleader? Were you like singing, playing
I
any
was
sports?
I was an
Hmm.
athlete and I was a
Okay.
nerd at the same time. So I was on both sides of the fence there.
Mhm.
So I played volleyball and I ran track and did both of those on the varsity level. And then I did go on to college to play volleyball, but I loved both of them.
Okay, that's good. I know, like, I would just kind of looking at your profile. You've been in this industry, like, I don't know if I should say like communication, marketing, kind of for years. How did you get into like from maybe this like after college? What how did you
Sure.
get into this? Yeah.
Well, I've always been a writer,
Okay.
and I used to enter the competitions in school and whatnot, and even in college, I won a few competitions for writing and whatnot. And then in college, I got into journalism and became the editor of our university's newspaper. And at the time, there was an actual physical newspaper,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so we had printed pieces of paper.
Hmm.
That's how old I am, but.
Yeah.
So yeah, that got me into journalism, and then so I went into marketing, and I've always been interested in advertising and messaging and all of the things that go into that. Even as a kid, I remember looking at commercials and thinking, "Ooh, I would have done it this way," or "Ooh, that was a really good one. Here's why I liked it." So I was
Yeah.
always intrigued with the messaging side of things, but I actually, my trajectory changed a whole lot. When my girls were about 10, I have a unique set of identical twins. And when they were about 10, they were just spontaneously thrust into the global spotlight.
Yeah.
And so having that kind of branding mentality, I thought, okay, I already had their domains. I bought their domains.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
knew somewhere in there
Yeah.
said buy their domains. So I had their domains already. And I thought, oh, you don't get this kind of global, spotlight all
Yeah.
the time. I need to harness this. So we went
Yeah.
ahead and made brands for each of them. And now, fast forward, almost 14 years, they both use their personal brands really heavily. One has her own jewelry business, and the
Mhm.
other is a country music star and rising star. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think she's a star already.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it's just, it's neat that that's what changed my trajectory is them getting into the spotlight. And
Mhm.
so then as years would go by, other people would start to ask me to do it for them.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, snowballed. And I released a book, and then other authors were, hey, how did you do it? And when I released my book, I had the worst advice given to me that
Mhm.
I think I've ever heard. My publisher at the time, and hopefully he doesn't hear this.
Do you have the book? Let's see the book first. Kind of know what you're talking about.
You know what?
What's it? What's
I
the
have
name
it
of
here.
the book?
It's called Sienna's Locket. The nonfiction book that I wrote is out of print now, but the children's book is still in print. So that's called Sienna's Locket. But when I released it, my publisher told me not to do my own marketing and not to do my own publicity because it would look vain. That was the dumbest advice ever. So clearly my book didn't do well because nothing was happening. Nobody was pushing it. So after about a year of going, what is happening with my book? Because it's hard work to put out a book, even a children's book.
Is it like amazing somehow? Like you meet people that you put your trust in them because you think they are professional, and then come to find out like they have no idea what the heck they are talking about. Do you think it's like maybe because is it part of this maybe as a publisher, maybe because they never written a book for themselves, so they always kind of pick back on other people, kind of like things like
I'm
that?
not really sure why he gave me that advice because I mean maybe it was super old school thinking, but even now, if you get a traditional publishing deal with one of the majors, unless you're somebody like Kim Kardashian, you're still going to have to do your own marketing and your own publicity. They might throw out a press release or do a couple little things for you, but they're really not going to put the money behind you like you think they are. So even traditionally published people have to have their own marketing plan. They have to have their own PR plan. It's an absolute must. So I learned what needed to be done. And now I teach others how to do it correctly.
The correct way. So you were mentioning about newspaper, like, and then I was remembering my own story. Like, I remember by like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, I was one of those, probably those drivers you depended on where they, we like 4 a.m. we taking the newspaper to the stand and all that stuff. I used to wake up early in the morning doing that. And then later, I think I was getting paid like $7 an hour or something. and now using my own vehicle, just burning my own gas. I
remember doing that with my parents. This was during I believe it was like early 80s when we had that recession. I was pretty young, so I remember it was a recession. And so my parents took newspaper delivery up as a second job. So I remember getting in the back of the car at 3 a.m. and tossing those papers out.
I know.
So wow. I feel you on that.
So let's go back to the twins. You said, so now they're like what, 14?
No, they're 24.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. I was thinking, okay. Okay. So from that age, so now one is a country star and one is a business person with the jewelry line. And now in my head, I was like, oh, there you go. Like, you should be best friend with what's her name? Kris Jenner. I think that's the name. Oh, hey, Chrissy hanging out.
Right? Yeah, what's funny is when a long time ago, I used to introduce myself and say Chrissy as in Three's Company. But now people are like, I have no idea who that is. So I have to say Chrissy Teigen. And then they're like, oh, okay.
Now they know. Now they. So do you think from their branding, when did you see, like when you started, at what age again did you bought the domain name long time ago for the kids? Did you buy them when they were little? Or you said when they were like 10, I think you said 10?
No, I think 10? They were more like 6, if I remember correctly, because they were really young. And I just remember thinking something in my head said, you need to go ahead and buy their domain names, with their first and last names so that if they want to use it. So I bought our whole family. And, now, even our son, even though he doesn't have anything, he's not in the entertainment side or anything, he wants to use his as kind of his resume per se. And
okay.
So
that's nice. Yeah.
You need a personal brand so that you can put your site and have your own resume.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually really good. If someone say, hey, can you send me my resume? Of course, probably like HR people, they might not be caught up to this new technology, but actually that would be really good to be like, hey, can you send me a resume? Just send them a link like, oh, here, this is, what's his name?
His name is Austin Bernal. He's in the process of setting it up.
Okay, so it'll be just like, hey, Austin Bernal.
AustinBernal.com,
.com, and they should be like, and hopefully they can respect that to be like, oh, this is nice. You don't have to download or whatever.
Yep, and you
and
can
they
put
can change.
videos on it of
Yeah,
yourself talking, so they could see your personality. It's a
it's
really
awesome.
really great idea.
Okay, for the jewelry, for the jeweler, with the jewel line, what's the domain name?
It's a cinnesize.com, which sounds weird, but her nickname is Cinny. And so, and because she's a primordial dwarf, she has primordial dwarfism. It's a really rare form of dwarfism. So she
Mm-hmm.
kind of looks like an 8 or 9-year-old, even though she's about to be 24.
Mm-hmm.
She has been nicknamed Cinny, and everything small we've always said, oh, that's Cinny sized, and if it's small. And
Yeah.
she wanted to name her jewelry business so that if somebody goes, oh, I love your bracelet, they'd go, oh, it's a Cinny size.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, and the country singer,
Sierra Bernal. And so she has SierraBernal.com. So,
awesome, awesome.
easy
And
to remember.
Yeah. And you see how you can, I know you, so now you're like, what is it called? The word mamanga? Mama? What is
Momager.
it? Momager.
I don't have to do that as much anymore now that they've got, their own people, especially Sierra. She's got other people. But with Sienna, I do have to still, I'm the one who uploads the pictures to her website and all that because she does have other special needs that are brain related. So technology kind of escapes her a lot, but she's doing awesome.
Yeah, but I was thinking about the country singer, like maybe she got Hollywood on you. You're like, hey, mom, now I got my own people. If you want to talk to my people, right?
Sorry, no, I don't think she'll ever be like that. She's pretty down to earth. She's actually probably more down to earth than she should be in some cases because she's a little rough around the edges at times.
That's awesome. Is she doing any tours, and is she released any songs that people can download or listen to?
She did just release a few songs, and she's got more that are coming out. But she is about to actually move to Nashville, and it's just the next step in the career. That way, she can be closer to the other songwriters and make it easier to do that. Yeah, they can do it via Zoom, but it's not the same as when you're in the room. So.
Okay. Tell her she got an uncle, so I can get some free ticket if she come in the DC area.
I think it's only a matter of time because she's quite tenacious and.
Oh yeah. It's listen, even the time that she's taking now, for her to develop her skill is about just developing the skill to just be ready. Because once she blow up, she's gonna be throwing a bunch of different things. She'll be like, oh, I've been ready for this, right?
Yeah.
She'll be really prepared for that. So
I think being in the spotlight since she was 10 has helped her because even this past weekend we just filmed with the Guinness Book Records people. They're doing a feature on our family, and we filmed with them, and it was just so second nature to us that sometimes we do forget. Oh God, there's a camera right there.
Yeah.
And so I think that has helped her. When she gets into more spotlight, she'll be okay with it. It won't be so jarring like it is for many people. So.
And actually it makes sense too, because even for her, a little bit older than someone who's hey, they got famous at 16, 18. By this age where she is, she knows the right things to do, right? So instead of end up caught up with some other BS going on, whatever in the industry. But that's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Well, we've even already had a stalker, so she's already gotten to experience that. So
wow.
She's prepared.
Yeah. Wow. So that's why I was saying you have to introduce me, her uncle. When they see me, they're like, I don't think we should stalk her. Like her uncle.
What? That's funny. So she has she does call him Uncle Anton, and he's this big old black guy with a patch, and so everybody thinks he's a superhero. Yeah. So whenever she introduces him as Uncle Anton, people are going.
He's a what is it called? The pirates. He's a pirate with the patch. Yeah. That's awesome. So let's talk about personal branding, right? So you help either entrepreneur or you help either executive and stuff and I know just following this history, where your whole life is being kind of in the communication and the marketing and branding stuff. How did you end up pivoting to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on helping people. Not necessarily. I know you mentioned about the book and teaching people how to do their book. How did you figure, like, you know what, I'm really gonna focus on helping entrepreneur, and why is personal brand important?
Well, I have seen in my own life that once people know you well enough for something in particular, aka your brand,
Mhm.
then that helps you get clients. It helps you with the authority. It helps you get, good clients that are aligned with you. And it also helps deter clients who aren't aligned with you. So that way you don't even have to, quote unquote, waste time with somebody who's maybe not a good fit for working with you.
Yeah.
Um, so I was just, I've seen it over the years that so many people just don't have clarity with what their brand is. And so they feel all over the place and they're putting out all kinds of messages. And, I remember this one particular time, this was years ago, and I had the opportunity to go to this mastermind that was being put on by an actual billionaire. He was on that show, Undercover Billionaires.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, this was a big opportunity. There were only about 12 of us, I think, in the room. So it was a rather intimate setting for learning. And I got up to say what I did. And after rambling on, he goes, I still don't know what you do. And I was so mortified because I was like, oh my gosh, I just got up here and rambled in front of this billionaire who is, has so much he could teach me, and he doesn't even know what I did.
Yeah.
So after that, I went home and I was like, okay, I got to pull things back, gain some clarity, and really define my messaging, define who I want to target, define my values, define my vision, all of that stuff, which may seem like it takes a long time. It does. But after I did that, it was just like, oh. I felt so much freer, and that I didn't have to work as hard to get clients. Clients would come to me. I even to this day, I still haven't done advertising for myself.
Mhm.
So it's, awesome that people know who I am. They know what I do. And so then they come to me for whatever they need.
Okay. So walk me through the process, right? So is personal brand for everyone, or is it personal brand for more like, executive leaders or public speakers? Is it like for someone who's like, hey, I work for Walmart, in the warehouse? Yeah.
I think everyone should have a personal brand of some sort, something that they stand for and that they're known for, because you never know where life's going to take you. I mean, if you would have told me in college that I was going to be going on the Anderson Cooper show, I would have said, for what?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. So, you never know too, especially with kind of the tumultuous economy that we have right now and all the layoffs that keep happening. What if you decide you're tired of being laid off and you want to go start your own thing? It will be so much easier to start your own thing if you already are known for something before you start that. And then you could just go off on your own fairly seamlessly, and it will make it a lot easier. And, who knows? People have side gigs now that they want, or they have things that they're just passionate about that they want to do as a volunteer or something like that. And so everyone could have some sort of brand that they're known for. And, maybe, like you said, the person working at Walmart, maybe they want to release a book about something, a memoir or a really cool story. Having a personal brand will help them sell that book, aside from, just being quote unquote an employee.
Yeah. So in this new age, right? So is where, like you're talking about, okay, creating a personal brand, but also there's this thing. In my head, I'm thinking like, okay, you create a personal brand, but also probably is going to involve about maybe putting out content for people to get to know who you are, right? So then there's a thin line between putting content being annoying or just like it's so easily to step aside. Like you might end up like, okay, you're partying with your friends or whatever, then you post an appropriate message or whatever. Like how are you able to control that? Because it's a little bit different. Like for someone, like let's say they're already popular, right? And they kind of already have people around them, like watching their image all the time, like, oh, their brand, they're like, hey, don't do that. Hey, delete that. Do this, right? So now you creating a personal brand, but you don't have people around you to be like, hey, don't do that. You're gonna mess up your image. Kind of, how do you end up? Do you know what I'm trying to go
Yeah,
with this? Like,
I think so, because we've actually had to deal with that with Sierra on her side of things. And so what you need to do is, once you have your brand defined, meaning what words do you want associated with you? What words do you not want associated with you? Like for me, I can't stand the word guru. If anyone ever calls me a guru, I'm gonna like, ugh, no, I don't want it.
yeah,
But it's, what colors do you want to be known for? And I know that sounds a little tedious, but when you've got your content that's, created content, if you have a same similar color pattern, that helps people kind of keep everything consistent. What type of feel do you want? If it's that party person image, then sure, that's your brand. But if you want to be known as maybe a librarian who's nice and quiet and quaint, obviously posting the party ones won't be good. So it's just having the defined image that you want on paper somewhere, Google Doc, whatever, physical paper, actually having it defined. And like I said, what words, what scenes, get yourself a Pinterest board of maybe other images. Like if you're an athlete, and I have worked with some brands where they were athletic brands, but it was a family-centered athletic brand. So they did not want any photos of shirtless men. They wanted all the men to have photos or shirts on. So that's something that is clearly defined in the brand, so that if anyone's working on advertisement for them or content for them, they know it has to be a man with a shirt on. So it's those sorts of specificities that are going to help you in, determining what you should and shouldn't post.
Okay. And again, I was thinking about this personal brand, because you're creating this personal brand so you can be known. But at the same time, as you know, like, we're human, right? So we go through emotions, like where sometimes you're steady, you're like, oh, professional. And then 1 minute, I feel like I'm working so hard, stressed out. Let me just let it loose. Live life. Life is too short. And then you're like, 1 minute, you're like, I don't post a picture with no shirts. And then you're like, you know what? Today I want to live life. And then,
Well, when it comes to that, I always look at the data, and if you slip up or something, and the data shows that actually that resonated with your audience, you might want to take a look and see if that's something you should put into your brand. But the numbers will tell you. Your numbers will tell you every single time. And it's not so much about being fake or being too scripted on camera. It's just a basic understanding of your values, really, and what you want to portray. So I never want anyone to put anything fake that's not them out there. And it's okay to be vulnerable if you're comfortable with that, especially if that's something that resonates with your audience. So you just have to do what you think is aligning with you at the core, and you as, your values.
okay. So walk me through this. I'm a new founder of a company, and there's there's a company brand, and then there's personal brand, right? So we're talking about the personal brand here. I'm a founder of a company. I want to create my own brand. What is a guideline, or what is the steps or strategy here for me to be like, okay, I'm going to help you build this brand? And how do you walk them to kind of get to the point where, like, okay, now we find your brand?
So one of the first things I would say is, what are the 3 things that you want to be known for or are already known for? And one thing I did was I posted on social media, what are 3 words that you would use to describe me? And then I emailed my email list and said, what are 3 things you think I'm known for? And it was really interesting to get that feedback, because that helped me see, okay, that's what people think I do, or that's what people see me as. And then another thing you can do is sit and think, what are the questions that people keep asking you? Maybe not necessarily your company, but you. Is it, are you a founder and people keep asking you, how did you start your company? If that's a question that keeps happening over and over again, then that's going to be part of your messaging. Like for me, authors or wannabe authors kept coming to me time and time again. So clearly that's one of my three things is books. So just think about, the things that people ask you and you're known for.
Okay. So with building brand, so this will be more also related, not only just like it. So I was thinking about like, so this is going to be more publicly exposed either on social medias and things like that, right? So with so I always look at this way, like let's say let's look for this 4 different platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and now we have TikTok. Right? Like the way I'm looking at it is like, let's say you're promoting your personal brand, right? Or whatever you're trying to do. On all these platforms, they almost don't look the same in a way where for the message wise, right? Whatever you post on LinkedIn probably is not going to work on Facebook, right?
It may or it may not.
Yeah.
Really, it's so overwhelming to try and do all the social media. So first off, I tell people, don't try and do it all if you can't. If you have a team and they can do it for you, then great. If not, just pick the one that you can do really well and do it really well. And, look at where your audience is. If you're targeting 50-plus-year-old people, they're probably not going to be on Snapchat. So don't even worry about Snapchat. If they may not even be on TikTok, they might be, but just test it out. But, yes, you may need to have different messaging for TikTok versus LinkedIn. And so that's where, again, having that clearly defined message is going to help you. I actually like to use the Storybrand messaging framework. And once you nail down the 7 parts of that particular framework, you'll have a sort of boilerplate that you can run everything through. So that way, if you do have to put a different piece of content on LinkedIn versus TikTok, you can still run it through this boilerplate messaging, paragraph or 2 that you have to make sure it's still sending out the same message, just maybe in a different way.
Okay. So with so many of, I don't know if it's the same thing, like where people are getting so popular on social medias, right? Yeah, I don't know if that's become also their brand, like because they're branding themselves, right? So how do you? Because I'm always feeling like it goes so far to a point where like it just fed out, and people are like, oh, we got a new person now, we're following or we're paying more attention to the person. How do you emerge yourself to be like to be like a really what's the word I'm looking for, like so you have this branding, you branded yourself, you got your personal brand, but I feel like you gotta go deeper than that, just not just be like what is it that makes you
kind of stick?
Like, so is it like you gotta become an author, you gotta become, what is it like, or just be like, hey, just make content and do public speaking and I'm known for that? What is that makes you like
that's a great point, because that's one of the things we're seeing with TikTok right now is a lot of these country artists specifically. That's the area I know more about, but they're getting on the radio and they're getting this kind of instant fame, quote unquote, but we have yet to see if that's really going to last, if that's going to translate into an actual thriving career. And I think that's the same with a lot of other brands, is that TikTok may help you get insta famous, or instant famous, but is that going to last? And I think the thing that's going to make people last is that community and actually connecting with their audience. And if their audience feels like it's a give and take relationship and not just I'm throwing content at you and I want you to consume it and I'm not going to ever, communicate with you or get to know you on a level, that authenticity is really what's going to help people stick.
Yeah. Okay. So when you do branding for, maybe let's go back, because I'm already kind of focused on this branding for personal, right? Like a person brand. And you say also, so when you go in there, do you also, like, let's say a company hire you, right? You deal with companies too, right? So they say, hey, we need a branding for the CEO, or we need a branding for maybe whatever management team. do you, and also maybe they have a branding for the company also, right? Do you kind of work together with the people that they have the branding for the company, or you don't care about the company? You just be like, hey, I'm here to brand the CEO. And also, do you work with a team of either PR firm or to like so craft the message that you wanted to go out?
Well, I actually we would want to work with all of the messaging there because everything is going to kind of work together. So, say I'm in there creating the brand for the chief of marketing.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's going to be focused on the marketing side of things and branding that person as an expert in marketing. And then that would be separate from the brand. And I actually have a PR wing of my own company, so that's where the publicity. I would do the publicity from there. But is that what you were asking?
Yeah. So that's part of the. And also, I was thinking too, like, yeah, you go in there, you say like you want to give branding for this person who's the chief, like a marketing person for a company, right? And you want to make them look like they're an expert on this industry. Is there like a qualification though? Because you might be branding a person like you're talking about like the word guru, right? There's some I remember like years ago, this guy was like, hey, we're gonna teach you how to write a pitch, right? A pitch deck for to pitch to investors.
Uh,
And his name was like Guru something, whatever, like Master Guru something. And I go there and he's like, okay, present your idea. And I'm like, oh, this is my idea, and this is my idea. And then he's like, that idea is not gonna work. And I'm like, I came here to learn how to write a pitch, not to tell me my idea do not work. So I'm like, what kind of guru? So anyway, so like since then I was like kind of pissed off that guy, even though I went through like pivoting kind of my idea to go, and my idea was fine. It just needed some twitching or whatever. And I went there for him to just teach me how to do the pitching, whatever, how to write a pitch, whatever. Anyway, so like when when you're going in branding a person, like okay, we pick like a marketing person. Does it matter? Because you might be branding a wrong person, right? This person has no skills, but you branding to make them look like they are the best people in the world for marketing, and they suck. But
well, yeah, you don't want to do that. So everyone has their zone of genius, and everyone has something that they're good at. So that's what you want to focus on is the actual thing that they're good at. So I mean, if they've made it to the chief of marketing, the CMO status, chances are they're probably pretty good at marketing, or at least one particular area.
Or maybe their family know their family.
You know what? That could be true. So then we would want to focus on what they
Making
do
sure.
know. Focus on the things that they do do well and that sort of thing. So no, you never want to be inauthentic, but there are always good things about everyone that you can focus on.
Okay. In the branding process, so like messaging, are you also, because you're an author, right, and you have all this background how to do books, are you encouraging them also maybe to put up a book to just make them like an authority in the industry, or is it like whatever about
no,
the book?
Absolutely. I think everyone should release a book, even if it's fiction, nonfiction, whatever, because most of us do have some level of creativity, and there's some sort of story that's in our head that would probably either encourage someone, inspire someone, entertain someone. You never know. And stories can come from anywhere. And I think that everyone should release a book. And releasing a book, while it's not impossible, it is still very challenging. There is a lot of work that has to be done. So it's very respectable when someone puts out a book. Anyone who sees that somebody has released a book knows, okay, they worked their butts off to get that book out. And it really does help with the authority. Just think of all the times that you've watched maybe Good Morning America or the Today Show or something like that. When they have someone on, they're often introduced as author of, or so most of the time there's a book somewhere.
Okay. Chrissy, thank you so much. This is a lot of good information here, and hopefully someone can grab here, kind of learn something. This is awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate for taking the time. So let's do this. How can people find you and kind of reach you either on social media or anything? Like your website?
My company website, which I'm in the process of redoing, but it's there. So I pulled it back to pretty basic right now, but it's beabetterbrand.com. So pretty easy to remember. And then my first and last name, ChrissyBernal.com. That's also my personal one. And yeah, you
maybe we need to spell the last name for people who's going to be listening to just a voice. So it's
sure.
Bernal is BERNAL.
Yes, correct.
There you go.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you Google me too, you'll find ways of reaching me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chrissy. I really appreciate for taking the time to just kind of chat with me.
Thanks for having me, Edward.
Thank you. Just give me a second.